Hello everyone and welcome back to the Working Class Revolt, and today I want to talk about everybody's favourite conversation, Brexit, and are we in any danger under the new Labour government of rejoining the EU, or at the very least getting ever closer ties with the EU on things like security, migration and human rights. Well, let's remember who is the Prime Minister, and it is the Shadow Minister for Brexit under Jeremy Corbyn's government, the man who wanted to put to the British people a second referendum, with one of the options being rejoin the EU and the other option being leave the EU with Jeremy Corbyn's deal. So we know where Keir Starmer lies. Keir Starmer would love us to be in the EU, as would 99% of his Labour MPs. Now, they obviously know that the backlash that would cause, so in order to make any move of the kind, the Labour Party and Keir Starmer need to be careful and do it and time it right. So we've seen some very, very worrying signs. We've seen Keir Starmer promise to stop the illegal migration by working with the EU. However, French President Macron has stated that the only way that can happen is if the UK allowing the fair share of migrants coming across the EU. Only then would France help the UK by stopping the illegal boats coming over. So what does that mean? For Keir Starmer to promise that and for it to be such a red line for the French president, and he said the EU as a whole, Keir Starmer is looking to do some form of deal where we will get somewhere in the region of 100,000 migrants. We would know who they are, but they would be people crossing the EU from all countries, mainly young males with not much skill set, not the people that we're asking for, like in a proper migration system, in order for France to help us stop the boats. Now, the big problem, the people who want to cross on the boats would probably find another way. It would only increase the numbers of migration. So that is the first outcome that Keir Starmer is probably going to give to the UK. The second option is that Keir Starmer lets migration get so bad that he claims the only way to save it would be to join the European Union. I've got a prediction that at the next general election, the main debate will be around, are we going to stay in the EU? Are we going to stay out the EU or rejoin the EU? And you will have the Conservative leader saying, no, we won't rejoin. Maybe being pressured into talking about a second referendum. We know what the Reform Party will say, we know what the Lib Dem will say, and I think Keir Starmer will end up promising a second referendum. And my worry is that come 5 years from now, the country will be in that bad of a state that there may be just about over 50% who want to rejoin the EU. Just as we left the EU because we thought it couldn't be worse, we may rejoin thinking the exact same, and nearly a generation by that time would have passed. So a lot of people believe there is a big plan. It's to get this left-wing Labour dictator, their words not mine, in charge of the country, shut down the freedom of speech, shut down people's speech on social media, because let's remember, social media won the election for Donald Trump, it won the election for Brexit, and it got Reform UK 4 million votes. So channels with a different opinion than the mainstream media are not wanted. They are saw as bad news, they're saw as dangerous. So maybe they'll label them all right-wing racists. We're seeing a lot of that at the moment, aren't we? So my prediction is things are going to get a lot worse, to quote Keir Starmer, before they get better. But better, in Keir Starmer and the Labour Party's opinion, will be rejoining the EU, and it means that for now they're going to make the country so bad, hoping that people will look back at the EU. Now, why, if correct, if it's not just a conspiracy theory, if this is true, why would people be so for joining the EU? Well, it's simple. People like Keir Starmer, people like David Cameron, they come from a background of people very, very powerful who put them in the positions. Let's not forget Keir Starmer was the head of the CPS. David Cameron was born into the job. The only one that wasn't was Tony Blair. But we all know the favours that Tony Blair did, like the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War. These people come from somewhere that believe that in order to control people, in order to get societies to do what you want them to do, you're better having one large government. If you have a country that is split into, let's say, 60 councils that are all can make their own decisions, or like in America, we have the 50 states, it's very hard to control the whole population. Now, if you have one government that controls the whole of Europe, you only have to have one or a few people of your belief system, and you can put that authority onto millions and millions and possibly billions of people. And that is why the EU was so desperate to get everybody under one roof. The UK has never fitted in with the rest of Europe, and we was always the black sheep of the family. So my hope is that no matter how bad things get with our government, we never rejoin the EU. There's always the possibility of getting a new government in. If you're in the EU, there is never a possibility of getting rid of the EU, because the majority of them are unelected bureaucrats who we have no power in. We don't even sit in the rooms when we was in the EU to make decisions on how our country is governed. But please let me know what you think. Do you think that there is a plan, a hidden plan to get us back into the EU? And please let me know why you think that is. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.